Hey y'all, welcome back to Simple Sanctuary Garden. My name is Sarah. It looks like it's about to thunder, and so I'm wondering if I even have time to do this. So fall is right around the corner, and if you live in a very hot growing zone like I do, you may be wondering what to prepare for fall and what to plant. I have just started prepping for fall, so I'm going to take you guys around the garden and show you what some of the changes are, as well as what I'm doing to get ready to plant things, new things, in the coming weeks. This is the anniversary bed. This is the two-tiered bed that my husband built us for our anniversary. That's the name. And this is the first space that I want to show you guys because this is the one that's giving me the most anxiety in preparing for fall. I had to go across the yard and get my camera stand. But for those of you who don't know, I live in a very swampy area. It is in fact called the swamp. So when it rains a lot, this beautiful yard that you're looking at will flood. When it floods, all the ants that live in our yard run to higher ground and oftentimes will take up residence in our raised beds. This time, the ants have not left quickly. In fact, they have taken over this bed entirely. I'm gonna show you guys what I mean by taking over. I'm gonna get them going and then I'm gonna haul butt so that I don't get bit again. I hope that shows up on camera. It definitely does. Ow! Okay, they got me. I'm sure at first they were farming some aphids, but if you noticed, there are some really big, beautiful okra plants in that bed. And it turns out, I want to see if I can show you. Ants apparently love okra. They may have found the plant because of some aphids that we did have, but they stayed on it. They weren't just farming the aphids, they were definitely tunneling into the pods. I have not had much okra from these plants, despite them being some of the biggest, most gorgeous okra plants I've ever grown, because the ants keep eating the okra. So my biggest goal to get ready for fall may or may not apply to you, but it is to get rid of fire ants. The other thing I'm doing is really trimming back my sick and or dying plants. I'm not really giving anything extra time at this point because there's other stuff I want to put in. These are those tomato cuttings from the previous video, which you should be able to see here. And they are very ready to be put into the ground. They are too big for these pots. This storm is rolling in. I'm not gonna have time for this. Since I've got new tomatoes coming in and a lot of these are kind of sickly, I've actually trimmed off a lot of the blight so you can't see it super well. We've also got my favorite Thai soldier beans. They have taken over this bed, which I'm gonna let them do their thing because I'm getting great produce off of them, but if I wasn't, I would just tear them out because I want this planting space. I just found more ants on an okra and I'm gonna film it to prove to you guys that these little jerks are Naturally, the storm's rolling in, but I don't want to get close enough that they can bite me. They are tunneling into that okra. All right, moving quickly. This bin, actually most of these bins had tomatoes. As you can see here, I've pulled a lot of things out, trimmed a lot of things back. I'm going to be topping this with some of our mulch and compost over there. So let's say you have torn out everything that is sick and dying, everything that is past its peak production, and you're wondering what to do next to get ready. You are going to want to weed and mulch like your life depends on it. So we're going out to the front bed. I'm gonna show you, I've done a tiny bit of weeding. And by tiny, I mean, those of you who actually stay on top of your weeding are gonna think that I haven't done anything. Here is my upcycled front bed. If you guys remember from January, it is definitely decaying. I'm still totally okay with that. It has led to some really nice mushroom growth, so I'm happy with it. You can see I have torn out almost everything in here. I have a little bit of basil, some pepper plants that are really just now getting established that I'm leaving in, They can act as perennials here, so I leave them. And basically I am going to enforce these with more stakes on this side, because you can see how it's bowing out, and give that a little bit more support. That those boards might actually last another year. And then top all of this, after weeding of course, with more mulch and compost. If you're in a hot zone like I am, you're going to be doing many similar things to people who live in any kind of cooler zone. Any plant that is sick or dead, you're pulling it out about this time of year. Any plant that is post-peak production, go ahead and pull that out as well. You are, or should be, I should be, really diving headfirst into weeding, into maybe amending your beds a little bit with some extra topsoil, some bagged soil if you need it, some mulch, some compost, you know, whatever you have. One of our biggest differences is that where everybody else is really starting to get those brassicas and leafy greens started, we're not there yet. We don't get cool here really till November, and I'd really hate to start them and have, you know, just too much heat for them to really survive. So what I'm doing instead is planting my okra cuttings that I started a couple videos ago. And I'm also going to be starting some more okra. Hopefully the ants don't get this one this time. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you live in a hot gardening zone and do something special to prepare for your fall planting, please let me know in the comments below. If you have questions about gardening in the fall in a hot gardening zone, please be sure and shoot your questions my way. If you found this video helpful, please be sure and give us a thumbs up. If you want to follow along with us through our fall growing season, be sure and hit subscribe. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. We'll talk soon.